everybody, welcome to today's yoga class, which is dynamic yoga. So another fancy term that is basically a nice word that uses a flow that uses strength and flexibility, perhaps not holding things for quite as long as other styles of yoga. So expect it to feel relatively fast paced, but there will be some pauses where we can really work into some poses. But there'll be some sort of challenging movements to keep you on your toes. So we're going to start in child's pose this evening, or whatever time it is. Knees are going to go a little bit wider than our hips, so towards the edges of your mat. Big toes to touch, sit your bum to your heels, and then walk your hands away from you, all the way out to the top of the mat. Let that forehead come to rest onto the floor. Giving yourself a moment to settle here, to allow your body to become still, for your mind to arrive, and for your breath to start to move a little more consciously. Breathing in and filling the space within the chest. And breathing out and encouraging your body to soften. Each inhale is expanding into your chest. A nice deep breath down towards the belly. And each exhale, see if there's another part of your body that can just feel a little heavier, continuing to sink down towards the floor. Allow those fingertips to start to really crawl away from you. So you start to find that length in the side body, that opening into the shoulders. And give those hands a little press down into the mat to push your body weight back so that your heels sink a little closer towards your heels. Keep breathing, widen the chest, inhale. Sinking the body, exhale. Again, breathing in and breathing out. Great, use your inhale, press your way up onto hands and knees. So bring your knees just that little bit more narrow as we move through some cat and cow pose. Use the inhale, dropping down through the ribs, lifting the chest, gazing forward, sit bones to the sky. Breathing out, hollowing out the belly, pushing into the arms straight and strong. Same again, breathing in, feel like you're pulling the mat back towards your knees. Exhale as you press the mat away. Good, again, use that inhale, scoop the belly down, lift through the chest, gazing up. And exhale to round as you hollow out the front of the body. Great, draw yourself back to center, and then keeping your right hand onto the floor, with your left arm, inhale, send it to the sky. Turning your chest to face those fingertips, find a nice big old twist through your spine. Use an exhale, thread that hand underneath the armpit. Let yourself come down onto the side of the shoulder and the side of the head as you start to twist your chest to face out towards these fingertips. Your right leg is then going to reach out to the back of the mat onto the ball of the foot and press the heel away from you. Use an inhale for the right arm to go to the sky. Maybe the gaze can follow those top fingertips as you keep turning the chest to the side, but obviously maintaining your balance by keeping the pelvis facing the floor. Holding your twist here, breathing in and breathing out. Good. Bring that right hand down onto the mat in front of your face. Unthread, leave that leg out behind you. Two hands onto the mat, press down and allow that left knee to float. Knee towards chest into a three-legged plank. Your back heel presses away, your belly hollows out, and think of gluing your thigh as close to your belly as you can. Holding here, breathing in. And then breathing out, place that knee down. Let your back leg lift, bend the back knee. Left hand is going to reach back, so it's called like a tempting tiger. It's not tiger pose where we grab the foot, but as if we're trying to grab the foot, reach the hand back, pull the heel in towards your bum. So there's lots of strength work going on. Lift through the chest. Even if the foot is available to you, don't grab it. Reach, keep reaching. Holding, breathe in. And then breathing out, let the knee and the hand come back down. You might notice that a tempting tiger is actually a little bit harder than tiger itself. As you inhale, dip the ribs back down, lift through the chest, gaze forwards. And as you exhale, rounding the spine, pushing the spine to the sky. Draw yourself back to center and the left hand to stay onto the mat, a little bit more central. Breathing in, right arm turns to the sky, chest follows, gaze follows. Exhale, thread it underneath the armpit. Palm faces the sky. Let the shoulder and the side of the head rest down, and then left leg extends out to the back of the mat. Use the breath in, left arm goes to the sky. Gaze goes with the fingertips. Maybe you can roll a little bit more towards the back of your head and give that shoulder a press down to help you find stability. Keep that belly holding in towards your spine. Take a deep breath in. And then breathing out, left hand comes down. Unthread, bring your hands both back onto the mat, push down into the hands and float that right knee. Draw the knee towards the chest. Think of a rounded spine, a tucked tailbone, and keep pushing away through that back heel. Strong into those hands, deep breath in. And then breathe out, drop the knee down. The back leg lifts, the knee bends, heel towards bum, nice and strong through your hamstring. Right arm reaches back as if it's going to grab that foot, but it's not going to. Keep pulling the fingertips to the back of the mat, pulling the heel towards your bum, lifting your chest, look forwards. Feel that strength in the back of that left leg. Take a deep breath in. And then breathing out, let it go. Hands and knees back onto the mat. And maybe just take a little step back with the knees before making your way up into down dog. The toes tuck under, feet hip distance apart. Press the thighs back and press the chest back towards the thighs. Lengthening out all the way from the wrists up to those sit bones. So think of the crown of the head rising away from the mat and giving those thighs a push back, so that the heels are nice and heavy towards the mat and they do not need to touch down. Holding here, breathing in and breathing out. Great, we'll keep moving. Right leg, inhale to the sky. Keep it as straight as you can. Reach through the toes. Breathing out, draw that knee under. See if you can tap your right elbow or just get as close to it as you can into a three-pointed plank again. Inhale, three-legged dog. Send the leg high. Exhale, draw the knee under. This time aim for your left elbow. See if you can give it a tap. Inhale, back to the sky. Exhale to the right elbow. Inhale, lift it up. Left heel stays heavy. Exhale, left elbow. Good, guys. Inhale, lift it back. Exhale, right elbow. And then last one. Inhale to the sky. And exhale to that left elbow. Hold your knee here. Let your back heel drop down. Turn towards your left. See if your left hand can come and hold this knee in front of you. I realise you can't see me here. Pull your knee in towards your body. Use that left hand into a two-pointed side plank. Inhale. And then exhale. Drop your knees back down and into your tabletop. Tuck those toes under. Lift your hips back to the sky and return into down dog. Sit bones lifting tall. Take a couple of breaths here. See if you can just slow the breath a little. One more inhale. And exhale. Left leg leads. Inhale, send the leg straight up to the sky. Exhale, see if we can tap the left elbow. Inhale, send it back up, chest back towards legs. Exhale, knee to right elbow, twisting under the body. Inhale to the sky, keep moving. Exhale, left elbow. Inhale, lifting it up. Exhale, right elbow, shoulders on top of those wrists as you come forwards. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, left elbow tap. Last one, inhale, lift. And then exhale, tapping that right elbow. Let the back heel drop down into a side plank. Right hand, you can see me this time, holds that knee, pull it in towards your body and keep holding that thigh nice and close to your belly. Strong through that left arm, breathe in. And then hands and knees back down. Breathing out as you come back to your tabletop. Tuck those toes again, lift the hips to the sky and return to your down dog. Looking forward to the top of the mat, start to take a walk in. Feet tiptoeing their way in to the top of the mat, keeping your hands down for as long as you can and letting your feet come together when they get there. Take a ragdoll fold, so the knee's going to stay quite bent so that the belly and the thighs can rest together, and then dangle your head, dangle your arms, or maybe you want to cross your arms if that's more comfortable. Allow the weight to be slightly forwards towards the toes. Keep pushing your hips to the sky, allowing those hamstrings an opportunity to feel a little longer. Great, take your hands to your waist. Keep the knees bent and the chin to the chest. With a rounded spine, unravel as you come all the way up to stand. Right up until you're standing tall. The chin then lifts as you find yourself at the top of the mat. Feet are together, tailbone is lightly tucked under so the core is engaged, shoulder blades drawing lightly back. Standing, take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. So from here, we're going to move through some sun salute C's, which is lots of front body opening and back body strengthening. So first, as you inhale, take your arms to the sky, but let your chest turn towards your hands. So you're gazing towards the thumbs, hips push a little forward, lower back squeezes. Exhale, fold yourself forwards and down, hands to find the floor, knees to bend, head dangles. Inhale, half lift, chest is out long, tabletop shaped spine. Exhale, hands are down, right foot steps back, drop the knee to the floor, keep the toes tucked under. Inhale into a low lunge, arms go alongside the ears, reach up and back. Exhale, hands come either side of the foot and step it back into a high plank. Those shoulder blades stay broad, the tailbone stays tucked, breathing in. As you breathe out, drop your knees down into a supported plank, shift your weight slightly forwards, lower halfway to the mat, keeping your elbows close to your rib cage. And then press your way back up to your supported plank, tuck the toes and send the hips back to the sky. Breathing in, breathing out. Right leg lifts for three-legged dog. On the exhale, draw the knee under the body. See if you can tap your knee and nose together as you transition forwards to place that foot between the hands. Drop the back knee to the floor and inhale into the low lunge on the other side, driving the hips forwards and down. Exhale, hands to the mat, back foot steps in, meets the front foot. Inhale, half lift, nice long body. Exhale to fold, compressing belly to thighs. Inhale, rise your way up to stand. So think about the glutes squeezing as the hips push forwards. The chest faces the sky as the fingertips reach directly upwards. Exhale, send those fingertips back to the mat, dangling the head loosely in front of the legs. Inhale, long body, engage your quads, shoulders away from the ears. Exhale, hands down, left foot steps back. Drop down onto the knee, the toes stay tucked. Inhale, low lunge. Send those arms behind the ears, drive the hips down. Exhale, hands to the mat, foot steps back into plank, pressing the heels out backwards, breathing in. Breathing out, the knees drop down, the weight shifts forwards. Squeeze the elbows in, halfway to the mat. Press your way back up and then tuck the toes and lift those hips back into the sky, down dog. Left leg, inhale, lifts to the sky for a three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to nose as you transition forwards. See if you can place that foot between the hands. Drop the back knee down and use the inhale to lift the chest away from the hips as the hips drop down towards the mat. Exhale, hands return to the floor, back foot steps in, meets the front foot. Inhale, halfway rise, and exhale to forward fold. Inhale to rise to stand. Again, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the lower back, chest faces the sky, look towards the hands. And then exhale, sending the hands back to the mat, pressing the pelvis high. Inhale, engage your quads to lengthen the hamstrings, half lift. Exhale, hands down, right foot to the back of the mat, let the knee drop down to the floor. Inhale, this time reach for your own elbows, holding your arms above your head. Find that opening across the front line of the body. Exhale, hands to the mat, foot steps back, plank. Breathing in, hold your plank. Breathing out, knees go down for supported plank. Shift the weight forwards, halfway to the floor. See if you can pause. Hold the elbows, squeezing into the ribs. Hollow out the belly, tuck the tailbone. Breathing out, press your way up. Well, good job if you held it for that long. And lift your hips back into the sky. Right leg, inhale to the sky. Exhale, knee to nose. See if they can tap. And then place your foot between your hands. Drop the knee to the floor, and again as you lift, take your hands to your elbows or just as much of your upper arms as you can. Pull the chest to the sky as you sink your hips to the mat. Exhale, hands return to the floor, back foot steps in and meets the front foot. Inhale, half lift. And exhale to forward fold. Good, inhale, taking that rise to stand. Squeeze the glutes, chest faces the sky, open the front of the body. And then exhale, final time onto our left side, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, long through the spine, engage through your core. Exhale, hands to the floor, left foot steps back, drop the knee to the floor. With the inhale, get your hands going to those elbows, send the arms behind the ears and breathe into the belly. Exhale, hands come down and the foot steps back into our beloved plank, breathing in. So let's try again, guys. As you exhale, knees drop down, weight comes forwards, halfway shift forwards down to the mat. See if you can hold, push into the floor, try and dent the floor under your hands. Take a deep breath in and then breathing out, press your way up, tuck the toes and return to down dog. Left leg rises to the sky for a three-legged dog. On the exhale, perhaps the knee and nose can tap as you transition the foot forwards between the hands. Drop the knee to the floor, use the inhale to lift the chest, taking those elbows up and back. And the exhale for the hands to return to the mat. To step in that back foot in to meet the front foot. Inhale, halfway rise for a nice long body. And as you exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rising up to stand. Squeeze the glutes, squeeze the lower back, lift the chest, gaze up towards your fingertips, and then exhale to release your hands and stand yourself tall towards the top of your mat. Give yourself a couple of calming breaths. I'm sure we're feeling a little bit warmer. So moving on from here, thinking of a similar shape that we made in this as we came up, we're going to turn it into a balance pose. We're going to stand onto the left leg, start drawing your knee up towards your chest and interlace your hands around the front of your shin. If you can't quite reach your shin, take the back of your thigh instead. We're going to move slowly here because I want you to think of squeezing the glutes to push the hips forwards. Keep holding onto that knee as you lean the chest back, thinking of your chest turning towards the sky. Lifting through the chest, take the gaze a little up as well. Hold that leg, breathe in. And then see if you can not lose your balance as you release that leg. Step it to the back of the mat. I didn't do a very good job of demoing that, did I? Drop the back knee down to the floor. Untuck the toes this time, so the top of the foot rests onto the mat. And as you lift your torso away, take your hands onto the back of your hips, so palms sort of face forwards. Use your hands there to help your hips drive forwards and down, but tuck your elbows in behind you as well, so you feel this broadness across your chest. The top of the back foot presses down against the floor and lift through the upper body. Breathing in. Breathing out. Take one more inhale. And exhale to let yourself come a little more upright. Tuck those back toes under, keeping these hands here onto your waist. Press into the ball of the back foot and see if you can lift your knees. You're now into a high lunge. The weight stays evenly distributed between the legs. The back heel pushes away. Take a deep breath in, the chest lifts. And then breathing out. Hands come to the mat. Foot steps back, hips go high and into your downward facing dog. Take a couple of breaths here. Keep pressing into the hands, finding that length. Great. Take a deep breath in, looking forwards. On the exhale, going to bend those knees. Take a little jump to the top of the mat. Use your inhale to halfway rise. And your exhale to forward fold. Inhale, rise your way up to stand, taking the arms to the sky, gazing up. And exhale to release your hands as we come to try the second side. So, standing onto the right leg, the left knee is going to draw in towards your chest, interlacing the hands around the front of the shin. Give it a nice tight squeeze in towards the body. Lift your chest, lengthen the front line of the body, and then start to take that backwards lean. Your hips push forwards, your chest turns to the sky, your gaze goes a little bit upwards as well. holding your balance, breathing in. And then breathing out, return upright, step that foot all the way to the back of the mat, lower down onto that back knee and untuck the back toes. Just make sure, just like I did, reshuffle your front foot forwards a bit if you need to so that your knee is roughly on top of your front ankle. Lift through your chest, take your hands to the back of your hips, let them push your hips a little forwards as you squeeze through your glutes and broaden through your chest. Elbows stay squeezing behind you. And think about lengthening all the way from your kneecap up towards your shoulders. Breathing in and breathing out. Great. Tuck those toes under behind you. Keep your body nice and upright. Push the heel away from you. Lift the knee off of the mat and into your high lunge. Keep the weight into both legs. Try not to sink everything into this front leg. Lift through your chest. Keep those elbows tucking in behind you. Keep holding, breathe in, and then breathing out. Hands to the mat, foot steps back, hips go to the sky, pausing and holding our down dog, finding that length all the way from the wrists up to the sit bones. Great, breathing in, breathing out. Taking that gaze forwards, take a bend of those knees, hop the hips high, trying to land into a forward fold rather than a squat. Use the inhale to let the chest pull forwards, halfway lift, and the exhale to forward fold. Inhale, rising all the way up to stand, arms go to the sky, nice straight long line. Exhale to release your hands by your sides. Good, again, inhale, lifting, lengthening, chest to the sky, gaze up towards the hands. Exhale, forward fold, fingertips to come down to the mat, dangle the head freely. Inhale, half lift, chest pulls forwards. This time, exhale, hands go down, feet step straight back into a plank, pushing those heels backwards. Think of the thighs squeezing in towards each other as you keep a nice broad space between your shoulder blades. Holding your plank, trying to enjoy it as you hold it. Breathing in. And then take a little soft bend of your knees as you roll your hips back to the sky and into a down dog. So with the left leg first, inhale, lifting it to the sky, press the right heel down, reach through those top toes. As you exhale, draw that foot to the top of the mat between the hands and rise your way back into a high lunge. Hands to come to your waist, press out through that back heel and then straighten out the front leg. From here, drop your back heel down so the toes point out towards the right hand side and keep your hands onto your hips, and your hips should now point out to the right. Think about a steering wheel with your hips, and I want you to turn to push the right hip backwards and tuck the left hip under. So we're starting to come towards a triangle variation. Squeeze hold of your quad on the front leg, lift your kneecap up, and think of tilting your chest forwards towards the front of the mat whilst the chest stays facing the right side. You can leave your hands here onto your waist. I'm sure you can already feel your core works hard here. If you'd like to make it harder, left arm reaches out to the top of the mat. Keep thinking of that steering wheel with the pelvis, turning it round as you rotate and find length in this top right side of the body. Hold it, breathe in. And then breathe out. Let your hand come to either your shin or the floor if you're there for your triangle. If you're using a block, you can rest the block instead. And then right arm to the sky. So a little bit more of a supported shape for our triangle. Nice lengthening into that left hamstring. Think of rolling this right hip back on top. Inhale. And then exhale. Hands are going to come down to the mat. So bend the front knee to help you come down to the floor, stepping that foot back and into down dog. The right leg is going to inhale and go to the sky as we come to the second side, and then exhale, stepping it forwards between the hands. Push the back heel away from you, rise into your low lunge, taking those hands to your hips and driving the hips forwards and down. Breathing in. As you breathe out, straightening out that front leg, which is wobblier and more of a balance than you might think it is. Drop that back heel down, let the toes point out towards the left, and again now our hips are pointing to the left as well. Hands stay on the hips, and as if it's a steering wheel, Start to turn the steering wheel towards the right as you push your hips towards the back of the mat. Keep that push and lengthen through this right hamstring, squeeze through this right quad to help this leg stay strong. Option to leave your hands onto your waist, option to make it harder by reaching that right arm forwards. Keep pulling that right hip bone underneath, rolling that left hip bone back. Breathing in, lengthen this under right side of the body. And then exhale, let your hand be supported, either onto the shin, onto the block, or onto the floor, as you send the left arm to the sky and the gaze to go with it. Press down through the outer edges of your feet, breathing in, and then breathing out. Hands to come to the floor, footsteps back into down dog, and then this time we're going to walk our hands to the back of the mat to come to meet our feet. From here, keeping a soft bend in the knees, belly and thigh to stay connected, take hold of your leg wherever it is that you can reach. It can be toes, it can be feet, it can be ankles, it could be calves, and give yourself a little pull. So pull your feet, or attempt to pull your feet off the mat to deepen your fold. Keep lifting the pelvis to the sky, keep compressing the torso towards the legs, and keep a softness into the neck and the back of the shoulders. Breathing in and breathing out. Great. Hands to come to your waist. Soft knees, chin to the chest, and unravel and unroll as you come all the way up, standing at the back of your mat. So from here, bringing your feet together, interlacing your hands behind your back, palm to palm. Use the inhale to draw your fist towards the floor, lift your chest to the sky and squeeze those shoulder blades together. Use the exhale, keep those hands behind you, a bend into the knees to place the belly onto the thighs, chin then falls to the chest as you keep lifting that fist up and over. Let your neck stay nice and floppy, squeeze those shoulders, find strength, breathing in. And then breathing out, release your hands, let them come onto the mat out in front of you. We're coming into crow pose. So the hands are going to place like they would for a plank. The knees are going to come wide onto the triceps. Squeeze the knees inwards, lift the hips high, send the weight towards the fingertips, and maybe see if you can find a moment of balance. Pulling your heels towards your bum, keeping your gaze forwards out beyond your fingertips, and holding your belly close towards your spine. If you've got balance, great. See if you can hold it. If you're still working, keep giving it a go. From there, see if you can place your feet down as wide as your mat. As you press your way back, keep your hips pushing high as your hands reach forwards. So again, we have this belly to thigh connection. We've got length in the side body and really pressing the thighs back to get into those hamstrings. Breathe in. And then unravel as you breathe out, as you come all the way back up to stand. The feet are still nice and wide. Inhale, reach the arms tall. Exhale, sinking your hips down towards your heels. Hands come down towards the belly and the elbows come to the inner of the thighs to press them wide as you come into your yogi squat. You can turn your toes out a little bit if keeping them forward facing is too intense into the hips, but keep the body nice and tall. And keep those sit bones sinking towards the mat. Breathing in and breathing out. So from here, seeing if you can keep your hips as sunken as you already have, lifting your heels off of the mat, coming onto your very, very tippy toes. So right onto the balls of the feet. Pull the heels as far away from the floor as you can and keep your chest lifted. Now from here, as if this wasn't hard enough, see if you can now rise your way up to stand. So press into the balls of those feet. Hold your core firm, wibble wobble, all the way up to stand. And then let those heels drop back down. So from here, we're going to move into a different variation of Amlasana, which is a big old internal shoulder rotation. If you have any shoulder issues, don't do it and just do the one that we've just done. And if it feels too intense for you, again, just quit it and come back to normal. So this time you're going to take the backs of your hands into your into your waist. The more towards your back body you take them, the more intense this is going to be. So keep your hands a little further forward towards your belly if you're new to this. You're going to sink your hips down, widening into those knees, and then let your elbows again come to the inner of the knees. Noticing this time, the arms are rotating in a completely different direction, and just paying attention to how it feels in the shoulder and making sure it doesn't feel pinchy or horrible. It should be a stretch for this back outer part of the shoulder. Keep your chest lifted, and if you want more intensity, you can let your knees start to squeeze the elbows inwards. Lifting through your torso. I do believe this is called chicken pose, but don't quote me on that because they're little chicken wings. Holding, take a deep breath in. And then releasing your hands back out in front of you, maybe giving your wrists a little stretch if you need. We're going to shift our weight over to the left side. So pull your left heel off the mat, come onto the ball of this left foot, hands onto the floor for a bit of balance. Your right heel, you're going to slide away from you off the right side, toes point to the sky, so you're coming into a toe stand. Toe and knee point upwards. And then see if you can find some balance here. Toe stands are not my forte, so I won't be very good at demonstrating, but see if you can bring your hands in front of your chest, pressing that right heel down for stability. And if you're a really sort of ninja here, you can reach your arms out a little bit like you would warrior two, sending your arms in opposite directions. Woo. Great. From here, we're going to gently let this front knee rest down onto the mat. Those toes point towards the front of the mat as we kneel up nice and high. You can shift your foot forwards a little bit if you need to. Right hand onto the leg. Inhale, send the left fingertips to the sky. And then exhale, allow yourself to side bend into your gate pose. The hips stay pushing a little forwards. Turning the gaze under that left armpit to find length in that whole left side of the torso. Breathing in, softening the body as you breathe out. Great. So from here, taking your hands down onto the mat in front of you, leave that leg kicking out to one side. From here, keep this leg as straight as you can. You're going to tuck your back toes and see if you can send the leg straight up into a three-legged dog. Keeping it straight makes it very heavy. Now that knee in the sky, bend the knee, heel towards your bum, allow your pelvis to turn to face the right-hand side into a scorpion leg. Maybe take the gaze slightly under the right armpit. Option to stay here, or you can flip the dog, allowing that top foot to come to the floor behind you, staying onto the ball of the foot as you come into Wild Thing. Push the hips to the sky, reach the right arm alongside the ear, and you can keep your gaze either down to the mat or up to the sky. Reach out through the left toes, push the hips tall, inhale and exhale. Good, use a strong breath in to come all the way up and over. Hand comes to find the mat, right knee places down onto the mat. Stick with me, guys. Left leg reaches away from the floor. Left arm goes to the sky as you come into this kneeling side plank. Harder than it looks. Press away through the rear heel, reach up through those top fingertips. Use the strength in those left glutes to keep the leg tall. And then bending that top leg. The arm in the sky comes to hold the foot behind your back, and then give the foot a kick backwards as you push your chest and belly forwards, opening into the front of the body. Big old stretch for the whole left side, but use the strength in the leg to keep everything very active. Holding. And then returning the hands and the knee to the mat and into tabletop. Second side, if you remember where we started, tuck those toes under, lift your hips to the sky and into your down dog. Walk your hands to the back of the mat, all the way until you're into a forward fold. You can keep your feet separate. Taking your hands this time, we're going to wrap our arms around the outsides of the legs and then cross our wrists in between our shins. So I'll just turn so you can see what I've done. Go outside the legs, cross the arms and hold on to your own shins. From here, now that we're sandwiched together, our belly and thighs are squished together, pull against your own shins as you push your hips to the sky to really keep the compression of the torso to the legs as you stretch a little bigger into those hamstrings. Stay nice and soft into the neck and the back of the shoulders, breathing in and breathing out. Good, one more, breathe in. And then breathing out, release your hands, taking those hands out onto the mat in front of you. So we're coming back to give our crow another go. Poet. Those knees are going to come to the back of the triceps. Keep the knees pulling inwards rather than splatting outwards, and think of rising up rather than going down. The weight comes towards the fingertips, pulling the heels towards the bum if you've found that balance, and really pressing the knees against the arms to help solidify them there. Breathing in, keep trying or keep holding. And then again, placing your feet nice and wide, this time sinking yourself straight back into your Malasana. So hips nice and low, hands to come together, no chicken wings this time. Press those knees wide. Taking your weight towards the outer edges of your feet, keeping your torso nice and upright. Good. From here, lift your heels nice and tall. Keep that chest tall as well. Realizing it's a lot deeper into the hips and into the inner thighs as you lift your heels away from the mat. And then letting them drop down. Shift your weight this time into the right foot. You can again lift that heel and then slide that left heel away from you. Toes point towards the sky, knee stays pointing towards the sky, and this knee stays sort of kicking out towards the right side. Into the toe stand, option to leave your fingers down if balancing here is not on the cards. Otherwise, see if your hands can come in front of your chest. There's the option to reach your arms out wide if you've got it here. Giving that heel a push down will help solidify that left leg. And we seem to have found balance. So from here, as gently as you can let that knee drop down in front of you towards the top of the mat, lifting nice and tall, and just make sure that that left ankle is in line with this knee so it's not miles off behind you. Left hand onto that thigh, breathe in, right arm reaches tall. Breathing out, a little lean towards the left, the gaze under the arm, and keep the hips pushing slightly forwards. Breathe into that right side of the body, using the inhales to find that extra length. The exhales to stay calm. Great, breathing in. And then returning yourself upright. Breathing out. Placing the hands onto the mat in front of you. So you're almost in like a tabletop, but your left leg is still kicked out. You're going to try and keep that leg straight, tuck the toes, lift the hips to the sky to down dog, and send that left leg high. Bend into the top knee. Think of heel towards your bum as you twist your hips to the side and maybe gaze under that left armpit. Three-legged scorpion dog from here. If you want to try it, you can flip your dog. Aim your foot as high up the mat as you can, as if you're trying to step to the top. Those right toes of the remaining leg point towards the back of the mat as the hips and the chest turn towards the sky. Press down into this right arm to help your chest lift. Lengthening that top side of the body, big strong pose. Holding for your inhale. And then using your exhale to come all the way back over. Drop the left knee down onto the mat. Left hand is down as well. Inhale, right arm goes to the sky. Right leg floats away as you come into your supported side plank. Or kneeling side plank, I guess we call it. Squeeze those right glutes. Push away through that back heel and then bend the knee. Hand finds the foot behind you. Push the foot backwards and press the chest out in front of you. Taking some nice deep belly breaths to really lengthen the front line of the body. Good. Nice deep breath in. And then exhale. Hands and knee back onto the mat. Let your knees come together, your bum to your heels, and let your arms this time come alongside your body as you take a moment in child's pose here. Forehead to rest to the floor, hips nice and heavy towards the heels. See if you can take a moment to quieten the breath and just allow everything to feel like it's moving a little slower, feeling a little calmer. Great, breathing in and breathing out. Great. You can then roll your way up onto your shins, that you're sat kneeling onto your mat, hopefully feeling a little more recovered from such a challenging little flow there. We're going to take a moment to work on our headstand. If you have a more advanced practice and you'd rather practice your pinch or your handstand, go ahead, or you can see if you can do an endurance hold for your headstand. So we're going to work on supported headstand, and for those that are still working on it, I'm going to guide you through it. Take your hands to hold onto your biceps, and that's going to be your marker of how wide your elbows need to be onto the mat. See where they are and don't let them move. Interlace your hands in front of you and just tuck your little finger underneath so that you're not going to squish your little finger when you press down into your fist. Take the top of the head onto the mat so you're looking back towards your toes and the crown of the head is into the palms. From here, press down into the forearms, tuck the toes, lift the hips and take a little step in with those toes into your half headstand. You can stay here, pressing down into the arms, building the strength. You could then try taking one heel in towards your bum. The thigh stays glued close to the chest. It does not go to the sky. The foot that's resting on the floor, see if you can roll over the toes, let your hips roll backwards, and maybe that foot can step in to meet the other foot. Small little ball shape. We don't want to be using momentum. We want to see if we can find a lift. And as you're at home, you can always use a sofa behind you or a wall behind you as a safety blanket so that you've got a way to bail without risking injuring yourself. Wherever you are, whatever you're working on, you can give it another go. If you've had enough, rest in child's pose for just a moment. Otherwise, if you've got to the point where you can hug your knees in towards your chest, you can start to let your thighs reach away from your belly, slowly, slowly, slowly extending the toes to the sky. As always, see if you can return out of the pose just as slowly and controlled as you came in, and working that negative strength is a very good way to build strength to send it up with control. From there, returning to child's pose. So we'll all be down. Arms can either reach forwards or alongside the body, whichever you prefer. The forehead returns to the mat. The body stays nicely close to the thighs. Taking a few slow, deep breaths. And then pressing your way up towards tabletop. Bring your left knee into the centre of the mat. Your right knee is going to cross over behind it, squeeze the thighs together and open the feet wide so both knees are back onto the mat. From there, walk yourself back until your bum can find the floor between your heels. It's quite an intense hip opener and some people's hips simply will not do it. You can take a simple cross-legged seat if this hasn't worked for you, or stick a block underneath your bum because you want both sit bones down on the floor. The knees are midline in front of you, and if you have more open hips, you can draw your feet away from your body to make this pose deeper. Sit the torso tall, reach the right arm up, and then the hand goes down between the shoulder blades. Left fingertips come to see if they can make the bind behind the back, holding onto your shirt or a yoga strap if that's not available to you. Keep focusing on the sit bones down, particularly that left sit bone. That's going to be the one that doesn't want to stay down if your hips are challenged here. You can stay upright, and if your hips are already challenged, I recommend you stay upright. If you've got more to give, you can fold your belly over your thighs, sending your body weight forwards. Keep maintaining length in your torso, no matter which shape you've taken. Breathing in and breathing out. Last one. Great. Sit yourself back up tall if you folded forwards. Undo the arms, and then we're going to come straight the other side and see if we can do it in a little twizzle. So keep your feet where they are and just let them pivot on the spot. Go over your right shoulder, lift your bum, let those feet pivot, and then sit yourself back down, and you should have found yourself on the other side. So it's the right leg that's on top. Both sit bones grounded. The knees, if your hips are anything like mine, you have to sort of encourage your legs into this sort of shape. Your knees to be towards the midline, the option to move the feet away from your hips to deepen. Right sit bone stays connected to the floor. Left arm reaches up and the hand goes down between the shoulder blades. Right hand wriggles its way up your back to see if it can find the bind. If you have none of those options, just hold your top elbow instead. Use the inhale, sit a little taller. If you did it on the other side, use your exhale to fold your body over your legs, thinking of sending your chest out beyond your knees. A deep breath in and a slow breath out. And then undo the arms. Untangle your little pretzel legs and let both legs be out onto the mat in front of you. Legs to be relatively straight. You can keep them slightly bent if your hamstrings aren't happy. And I like to roll the fleshy bits of my thighs slightly inwards so that I'm sat on my hamstrings and on my sit bones, enabling me to sit taller. And there's the option to do that. Flex your toes back towards you. Breathe in. Pull the body towards the sky. Lengthen the torso. And use the exhale to go forwards to find either your toes. Again, you could use a strap, and if none of that is there, hold on to whatever part of the leg it is that you've got to. It just allows you something to pull against. You want to try and be able to keep your chest broad. So if you've reached this far and your body you cannot pull your chest forwards, hold something a little further back so that you can pull your chest forwards and squeeze the shoulder blades together. Feel like you're pulling against your legs to bury the hips further back into the pelvis and keeping that spine nice and long. Breathing in and breathing out. And then one more. Take a deep breath in and breathing out. Great, releasing whatever you have, sitting yourself tall and then letting the soles of the feet come to face one another. The little toes to stay connected, the big toes can fall apart from one another. Interlacing the hands like you did for your headstand and taking hold of the whole feet. You might then be able to shuffle your bum a little bit closer towards your heels. Pull against your feet as if you're lifting your toes off the mat, but then push your feet back into the hands so that everything stays grounded. Use that strength to pull the chest a little taller. Engage the hip muscles to drive the thighs wide. Keep thinking of pulling your belly up and out of your pelvis. Your chest stay nice and broad. So even though it kind of looks like you're not doing much, if you've just done all of those things that I said, it's quite strenuous. You're really pulling against those feet. Your legs are finding the strength to move into that stretch. Great, breathing in. And then breathing out, releasing the tension, releasing your feet, and just shuffling forwards if you need to so that there's space onto the floor behind you. Knees are going to stay bent, arms reaching forwards, and with a rounded spine, unravel and slowly allow yourself to come to the floor. You can rest your shoulder blades down for just a moment, but I'm afraid we're not quite done, although we are almost. Bring your feet a little bit closer in towards your bum and then roll your shoulders off of the mat so you're looking between your legs, so you're starting to use your core, which we're going to just use a little bit more. Let your knees come towards your chest so your feet have lifted. And we're going to come into a figure 4 stretch, but without using our hands. So see if you can take your left ankle over your right thigh. If you can't get it there, use your hands to get it there. Pull your right knee in towards your body. Reach left arm through the gap. Reach the right arm around the outside as if you were going to take the bind, but don't take it. Use the strength in the right leg to keep pulling in towards the chest. This foot presses against the thigh and your left knee pushes away from you. Use the reach of the fingertips to keep rounding the shoulders off of the mat. Not easy. Using that core to keep the upper body lifted. Keep pushing that knee away from you. Breathe in. And then breathing out, let the foot come to the mat. Release your shoulders and unravel the legs. Second side, find that roll of the shoulder blades. Looking between the legs, reach the arms forwards. Think of knees coming in towards the chest as you float through the shins. And then crossing that right ankle over the left thigh. Taking the hands through the gap where you would take the bind, but don't take it. Push that right knee away from you and pull the left thigh in. Keep drawing the chin towards the chest. It's really strong core work here, guys. So if it's feeling quite challenging, that's because it is. Pushing the ankle against the thigh. Take a deep breath in. And then releasing as you breathe out and just allowing your belly to soften for a moment. Hugging your knees in towards your chest, give yourself a soft little squeeze. Making the body nice and small, nice and compressed. From there, we're going to move into plow pose. So plow pose is the one that starts a little bit like a backwards roll. So you can take a little bit of momentum to lift your bum off of the mat. Your hands then come to support your lower back, fingertips face towards the sky. Bend your knees to either let your knees rest onto your forehead, or if you've got a little bit more length in your hamstrings, you can send your toes to the mat above your head. Making sure you keep your head nice and still, so you might want to close your eyes here to prevent yourself from being distracted from whatever's on around you. And maybe you've got the ability to shuffle your shoulder blades a little closer together underneath your chest and think of stacking your hips a little higher on top of them. Use those hands to support your weight. And if you've got those toes to the floor, keep the heels pushing away from you. Otherwise, keeping those knees bent, resting onto the forehead. Feels harder to breathe here, so focus on a nice deep, strong inhale, strengthening the lungs. And a slow exhale. One more. Great, let your hands release. Resting them onto the floor, they're going to act as brakes. As you slowly allow your body, your spine, to roll back onto the mat, one vertebra at a time. Slow and controlled, keeping your thighs close to your belly until your hips touch down, and then bending your knees and letting your feet find the mat. The soles of the feet to face one another again, let the knees fall wide, and you can just keep your feet a little bit further away from your bum from this one, so not as close to your hips as you can manage. Move them more towards the top of the mat. Your hands can then rest to your inner thighs if you want to give the legs a little bit of a push, a little bit of encouragement to open. But your shoulders can stay down, just allowing the body to release into this one. Maybe you're still holding some tension into your glutes or into your hips. Take a nice deep exhale and see if you can find a little bit more softness. Great, take a deep breath in and reach your arms up above your head. Fingertips growing tall, and then step your legs out one at a time, but bring the legs together and then reach through the toes as well. So a full body stretch, making yourself as long as you can. There's tension in the body as everything is really elongating. Take one final deep breath in as everything feels very tense. And then exhale, releasing. Your arms come to rest alongside you. If you would like to, you can just step your feet a little wider. Allow the feet to flop away from each other. Closing the eyes. Relaxing the face. Keeping the attention on the breath. Slowly watching it in. And slowly guiding it out. Great. Take another nice deep breath in to reawaken your body, finding some movements. And you can draw your knees in towards your chest to give yourself a soft little squeeze. You can then roll your way up to a seated position at the top of the mat. Sit yourself nice and tall, and with your final inhale, circle your arms wide and high to the sky. And your final exhale to lower your hands towards your belly and your chin towards your chest. Good job, guys. Hopefully that was an enjoyable experience of dynamic yoga, and you can really feel the heat and the sort of strenuous sort of pace of it, or the muscles having to work quite hard. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you can join me again for another class soon. There's a little, if you go onto my channel, you can see all the pre-recorded classes if you wanted to take any others in the meantime. I love it to hear from you when you've taken my classes and what you think of them. If you're able to donate to the class, as always, I'm very, very appreciative. I know lots of studios are opening back up now, but I do intend to continue running these classes for those that are enjoying them. Have a lovely day, lovely week, lovely whatever ahead, and see you soon.